Evening, sir.
Hi, boss. How are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Asia.
Hello, Lisa.
Good night. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Karel.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, night current.
Guys, I'm gonna give Michael about 3 more minutes to comment, and I'll begin at 7:20. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
All right, guys. Now going to pass. So we have completed the hydrosphere. Congratulations to all of you that have presented. Past I have not seen for quite a while. Um, but congratulations to all of you for doing your own independent presentations and then sending it off. Just trying to wait until I get all of them so that I can collate. So remember, I'm collecting the presentation. So those of you who have not yet sent it off, please do so and do so quickly. I'm collating so that I can send back to the class so that everybody can have a copy of.
Sorry, sir. All right. So what I showed in the previous class, that is what you want me to send to you, or you want me to do it in a presentation format, separate and apart from that?
Well, I'm giving you an opportunity to fix because I'm grading it, So I'm giving an opportunity to put your little clear tweet fixed up nicely and then send it off.
Or it's
So
just that the information is not gonna be being that is presentation format. Everything is not gonna be on the
well,
Google slide.
if you prefer to send the information as it is, I have no problem. It's the information that I want so that because you've done the presentation already, the information that I want so that your classmates can have the content by reading what it is that you presented, right? So it's neither here nor there to me at this point, if it's going to be in Google format or wherever it is. I just
Okay,
want
then. So I'll send it to
information.
your email. Okay.
All right, cool. So now,
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
hi, Michael. So yes, so as soon as I get all of them, I'll collate so that I can send a single document to the class so that everybody has a copy of this single document on the hydrosphere. So it is that you can do your own preparations. All right. So allow me to make a disclaimer at the very start of the session. We had our vetting session where the vetting of the math papers took place today. I literally drove down to the country and drove back up so that I can meet this year's class. As it is just now, I'm very, very tired. Very tired. So my plan of action is to stay with you for an hour. And then I'm going to give you other stuff to do, some presentations. I'm going to give you some work to go and do some further research on for the presentation on Thursday. One of the things that I need for you to remember and to recognize is that at this level, and for sure, when you move on to the master's level, lots of the work that you're going to be doing is going to be 80% of what it is that you should be doing. I'm going to give you an overview as I did for the hydrosphere. I'm going to give you a general overview of the atmosphere. I think that's where I want to go. Do the hydrosphere, I'm going to do the atmosphere, and then I move to the lithosphere. So I want to give you a general overview of the atmosphere, and then now from there you can take it forward. So give me a few. I am going to be picking out some stuff from a document, and then what I'll do, I'll scan the document and send to you so that you can have it um, for your own personal read. Give me half a second, please, guys. I'm coming back to you. And I didn't get a consensus from it that can
Sorry, you're speaking to us and not hearing you. You sound very low.
sound low.
Yep, very low.
Is there anyone else hearing me and hearing me loud enough?
A little bit better now.
Okay.
By the way, I just letting you know, I sent it to you a while ago, so you can just let me know if you received it, please.
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just download and save it right now before I. Sorry, are you hearing me the rest of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
you're much better now. Yeah.
Right. So I was saying that I didn't get a consensus whether or not I can go at 8:30.
Yeah, man, you can.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much. It's just that you guys are good students, and there is much to cover. I didn't want to call off the session, and the truth of the matter is that tomorrow they'll be having the vettings for the environmental studies program. But to be honest with you, courses. But to be honest with you, I don't think I can manage another drive down to the country tomorrow, and I have a 9:30 to 12:30 class. I'm going to drive down. That is going to be about 1:30, and maybe the person or persons who will be vetting the papers with me, would have completed their task from early, and so I may not go to that session tomorrow. Kind of a bit taxing to ask me to go down 2 times for the in the week. So all right. So let's save that document. So let's move on now. So we're moving into the atmosphere. And as I said before, what it is that I'm doing is just giving you an overview similar to what I did for the hydrosphere. And the overview is it's good information that you will need to have as you prepare for your finals. So the atmosphere, what anybody knows about the atmosphere? Let me start there. Anybody knows anything about the atmosphere? Think about the atmosphere. When you hear about the atmosphere, what comes to mind?
Like
Air.
the upper surface of the lithosphere, like up further.
Upper of the lithosphere. Okay, all right.
The
The air.
gaseous.
That's just part to the,
Different
well,
gases.
also the protective layer that protects us from UV radiation. You think about that when you talk about the atmosphere.
So what protects you from the radiation, though?
Ozone, which is within the atmosphere.
Is it the ozone or is it the ozone layer?
The ozone layer.
Okay, all right. Continue. Mhm. Mhm.
It's where condensation happens to form clouds. You have most of your clouds being formed in that region. Also where a lot of nitrogen is located, as a different gases are located.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? What kind of gases, by the way?
Like the nitrogen, carbon, oxygen.
Yeah, and many greenhouse gases.
Okay. Name some greenhouse gases.
Uh,
Or
well,
stimulants.
when I find some CFC,
What are CFCs?
yeah,
What are CFCs?
chlorofluorocarbon.
Yeah,
Okay.
chlorofluorocarbon.
Mm-hmm.
You find
What,
carbon dioxide.
and what the chlorofluorocarbon does?
It depletes, it reacts to the ozone and
Okay.
It destroys the ozone layer.
Mm-hmm. Anything
you
else?
find you find a lot of carbon dioxide um, within the ozone within the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon dioxide. Maybe carbon dioxide, not just carbon, but carbon dioxide. My mind is on carbon because today we found out about some carbon dating. That's why. But the
Carbon
carbon
dating?
dioxide. Yeah, we need to, got some results from carbon dating today.
Mm-hmm. What are the sources, though, of the carbon in the atmosphere?
Vehicular traffic, fossil fuel burning,
Aerosol sprays.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Yes,
oh,
16.
Say it again?
Yes, it's 16.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Decomposition from like the carbon cycle.
Fossils.
Good, correct. All right, cool, good. I heard both of those. Those are correct. What else? Hmm. There's one main one that I'm looking for.
So can you give me a hint?
in terms
Um,
of carbon source.
yeah, me and you.
Like
Oh,
exhale.
was it exhale?
Yeah, respiration.
Yeah.
Respiration, never breathe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Give me one. Give me one source where this extra carbon dioxide can be used up.
By the plants?
By what method?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. All right.
Photos, yeah.
So what it is that you've just technically done for me, um, with my prodding, is a description of the carbon cycle that you must know, right? But as I go through as an overview as to what it is that I'm expecting you to do, so that when you're doing your own preparations, you know where to go, is that the atmosphere is layered. The atmosphere is layered. The lower part of the atmosphere is called the troposphere. Troposphere, Troposphere. So you have the troposphere. So within the atmosphere, it's layered. So you have the troposphere, you have the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and the thermosphere. So you have those four spheres within the atmosphere, and each sphere has its own responsibility. So the atmosphere is not just one atmosphere something. Um, you know, when I was much younger and traveling, um, I wouldn't say that I don't have any sense, but just a curious mind. I say, okay, fine. When the plane goes up and goes beyond the cloud, it means that I can see heaven. Well, not quite so. Because one of the things that I don't like is flying early morning and be on the right-hand side of the aircraft. because of where the sun is. And, especially if you have the window seat and you try to close the window and then somebody saying, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm claustrophobic. Can you open it, please? But they are in the middle or the aisle seat and they are not getting the burn. But you are at the window and it is pelting through. It is really very hot. And there is no way that aircraft can fly without having air condition in it. We would all die. No questions asked. It's just bodies that will come out of that aircraft. Um, Matter of fact, I don't think the aircraft would land with any live bodies, right? So it gets really very hot. And I will explain to you the different spheres that we're talking about and why it becomes so extremely hot, because of the different layers and the temperature, at which, these layers exist. Um, where do you think the ozone layer is? Where do you think the ozone layer is? Where?
Way up in the sky.
Yeah, but where? I just told you that we have
In
the troposphere, the stratosphere, the
Oh,
mesosphere, and the thermosphere. Where?
In between, between the atmosphere and the stratosphere.
But remember the atmosphere. Remember the atmosphere is layered. So atmosphere. So okay. So remember when it's studying oh Lord, math, and it talk about quadrilateral, and quadrilateral is just a broad term, and then under quadrilateral you have a square, a rectangle, a trapezoid, a
yeah.
rhombus, a kite, a parallelogram. Remember them something there? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the atmosphere, no, the atmosphere has several different little, little stuff. So yeah, so I heard somebody say it. It's somewhere near the stratosphere, don't?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think it does?
It protects the earth from the violent rays, sun rays.
Absolutely. So when I'm in that aircraft and the sun hit, it means that I am somewhere near the stratosphere, somewhere there, because the sun come down and I mean, when I tell you say the sun hot, brother, it's hot. All right, and the ozone layer is somewhere there, right? So, um, so I want you to, what should I ask you to do? Hmm. All right, let me not ask you to do that just yet. So it's very important for you to know where all of this is located. All right, let me just show you something because I want you to be able to appreciate what it is that I'm talking about. Because, oh, come on, what is wrong with you? That's not what I want. Get off my computer. Um, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes when you visualize stuff, it may seem a little clearer to what it is that I'm talking about. I'm trying to share something. Let me know when you're seeing it, please.
Not seeing it. Oh,
Just take a look at that for me, please. Just take a look at that. All right, sorry, that was just a water break. So what it is that I just told you, I just wanted to prove to you because sometimes, you know, when you teach without visuals, some students can't relate and may think that, sure, not go so. So this is the atmospheric layer. That is the atmospheric layer. So what it is that you and I look up into the sky is that atmospheric layer. All right? The troposphere is right here. Then you have the stratosphere. Then you move into the mesosphere. And then you're going to have a thermosphere. And this one is spelled wrong. It is Thermos. There. The left of the S right here. So this is incorrectly spelled. All right. So just
Oh
take
yeah,
note of
thermosphere should be thermosphere.
sphere. Supposed to be thermosphere,
Yeah.
right? So again, it only tells you that sometimes when you get the information from the internet, you have to also verify it, right? So that's just one layer, one lesson from it. So I want to pay a little bit closer attention to what is happening here with the atmosphere. So I just said to you that when I fly, and if I'm flying, if I'm going, if I'm flying into Miami for argument's sake to 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 board another flight sometime later on in that day. So I move on the early morning flight. And say about 7:30, 8 o'clock, once you're on that right-hand side of the aircraft, you are going to feel that sun. And there is no two ways about it. It is going to be very hot. Now, if you're sitting with family, it's easy. Close the blinds. It will reflect it. And that's why aircrafts are, made the way they are made. They can reflect heat so that at least you don't have that heat transferred into the aircraft, right? Because it can suffocate. You can literally suffocate inside here. So if I'm traveling alone and sometimes you'll ask the other passengers, oh, is it okay for you to just tilt the blinds for me, please? And some of them will be nice enough to do it. The nicest part to do is to fly at night because it is much cooler. But me just afraid to them go buck up in or something. So me want them flying at the day. So me don't like the night flight business. All right. So if you look at the diagram here, you can see where the commercial flights take place. Where do you think the commercial flight takes place? In the which sphere?
Troposphere.
In the troposphere. Now, what is between the troposphere and the stratosphere?
Drop
the
off.
ozone layer.
The ozone layer. The ozone layer. So if the ozone layer is compromised and you have that breakaway and the deadly rays from the sun is peeking through. When you're in those flights, commercial flights, you are going to feel it even more. You are going to feel it even more. Very dangerous. It it's a very risky thing that when you fly, when you go in an aircraft, you know, because think about it. We've done gases before. So let me take it back down on land now. And then I'll transfer the conversation back into the troposphere. When you and I put gas in our cars on a very hot day, and if the days are hot, they will say to you, don't go to the gas station to fill up. And if you go to the gas station, don't fill up to the brim. Just put enough in there that you can, you know, maybe put like a half tank of gas inside there. Because the moment you fill up your car, you're going to be having, and they will say to you also that on a hot day, don't go to the gas station. Because when you go to the gas station on a hot day, you're really not getting the amount of gas that you pay for. Because what it is that you're getting are fumes. Because those gas particles now become very volatile and they are moving in this haphazard motion. And what it is that you're getting pretty much is just air. So if you really want to fill up your cars, go early morning before the sun come out, before the sun hits the lithosphere to warm, because remember, you know, these gas tanks at the gas station, I don't know if anybody ever see a gas station being built. These gas tanks are big metal stuff that are embedded underground, right? And then now you have pumps that are in it or in them, because you have several of them. You have one for diesel, you have one for the 800 chain, you have one with the 900 chain, the 87 and the 90. And then what happens is on a hot day, you're really not getting what it is that you pay for, because those particles now are very, it is very light. That's the point I'm trying to make. The gas is very light. So when you fill up your car in the middle of the day, and you think that, and the gas tank say, oh, filled, and you drive to work, and and then you leave work at 7 o'clock, and you go in the car and you say, but hold on there, why quarter tank of gas gone already? And I fill up my car and I ask them to top up. And then you go back to the gas station and say, you know, this is what has happened and so forth and so on. No, you just went to the gas station the wrong time. So they never did anything wrong. They might try and make money. They never did anything wrong. It's just that you went the wrong time to do it. So whenever I'm filling up my car, I go very early morning or I go in the evening. Sometimes I can't go even when the sun just go down, you know. So time like now is a good time to go and get the gas. But really and truly, early morning is the best time, because like now it gets cooler and it's cool. The gas particles are very you know, dormant. They only possess kinetic potential energy at this point in time. So when you go earlier afternoon, they may still be very active. So what happens is the best time to really go to the gas station is early morning before that sun hits. You'll get value for money. Think about it. If you fill up your car on a very hot day, and the day is very, very hot, there is a possibility that you can actually have gas particles escaping, igniting, car can catch a fire, can actually blow up with you. Real talk. Anybody ever thought about that?
So this with the gas
Yes, ma'am.
and the sun?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So as a matter of fact, thinking about it, maybe about 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, it was coming up to summer, because we are going into summer now. It was 2 years ago, I think, when we were hitting some serious heat records, you will see notification coming out, via WhatsApp that, boy, be careful to go to the gas station. Don't use your cellular phones there, because it is so hot, the particles are moving up and down. So when you're putting gas in the car, you have lots of gas particles now escaping. So the moment you answer a cell phone call or so forth, the radiation from that can actually spark some of the gas particles, and one gas particle hitting another can actually cause an explosion. So which is why they said you don't use your cell phones while you're at the gas station. But think about it by extension now, that if the ozone layer is compromised, somewhere there between the stratosphere and the thermosphere, and the aircraft just fill up, and it is flying for 3 hours in that space. Don't you think that it's very dangerous that something can happen with those gas particles with the heat?
Yes, sir. I never thought about it,
Yes, I real talk. So, as a scientist, one of the things that I really want you to do is not just to think about what it is that you are learning, but to see if you can create new thoughts and new ideas, or just to think about what if, and then you look it up. It's very dangerous, very risky, which is why one of the things, again, with an aircraft, the other day, I don't know what is happening with aircrafts nowadays, but the other day, recently, could be last week, oh goodness, was it, were they freight something? No, Lord Jesus. Anyhow, one of those freight aircrafts was just took off, and while it's going up, apparently it hit some birds, and one of the engines exploded. So it was literally on fire. It was all over social media. I think it was a DHL, no, it's not a DHL, FedEx flight, right? And it just lifted up. And what the pilot had to do was, it was an emergency. Normally when the gas tank is full, they'll have to circle to see if they can use up as much of the gasoline or the fuel inside, because it's the fuel that they use there is somewhat lighter than what we use in our cars. Jet fuel is different from what it is that we use in our cars. All right, so it's not the same sort of fuel that we use. All right, and it had to do an emergency landing. So when all of that happened, and this is where you guys can seek employment now. Emergency response teams at airports. So, the fire brigade has to be on call 24/7 at the airport. Once the airport is active, you must have at least several units of fire brigade, right? You have other medical response teams, should in case there's an emergency. So you see when that aircraft, the fuselage on landing hit the thing and so forth, you saw quickly the response team was present, because when it got to these major airports, I don't know if Jamaica has it. I don't know if Jamaica has it. And this is one of the things that we can go and do, right? Matter of fact, let me just pause here to say that we are approaching our research day, and I really want this group of my bachelor students to, for us to work on a presentation. It doesn't necessarily have to be chemistry, but it could be a combination of all the areas that you've done, and to make a presentation to the students. I know Mikey may not be able to participate fully, but maybe he could, because we could also always do a video presentation. But I would recommend, though, that, or what we could do, we could do a poster. So it don't have to be a physical presentation. Matter of fact, I am challenging you. It don't have to be a physical presentation. It could be a poster competition. So you can create a poster, to depict something about the environment that could be used to educate those persons that are coming around, because it is very important. We don't know if Jamaica, and I'm not saying that we don't have it, but I don't know if Jamaica at the two major international airports have these response teams. Police, you notice at Normal Money, you have a police station. At Montego Bay, you have a police station here, because all of the emergency response team must be there. So, ambulance
All right,
service.
sir.
Go ahead.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. All right, so for my time, so I have worked at both airports. I've worked at Normal Manley and Sangstad, but I've worked at Normal Manley longer. So in relation to that, I have been there where there have been instances where the fire alarm went off and they have a fire brigade. So their response is very quick. I think it really falls somewhat more under like, what you say now, environmental health and safety.
Absolutely.
So not only is there the fire station, they respond very quick, but they also have fire extinguishers. And where the fire extinguishers are, they usually place it right where the fire alarm is. So yeah, you have those in the same area, you have them in the different departments. So you have it in the departure lounge, you have it in the different departments, and you also have the signs as well. So I think it would fall somewhat more under like environmental health and safety, something like what we did in Miss Dunbar class, because I remember she was going through those stuff, and working, it gives you like the experience. So I realized that whatever it is that she was teaching, I realized that I could put it to use, because I realized that, oh, the fire extinguisher is here, it's right beside the fire alarm, the signs are there as well. So yeah, they do have it. They have it at Normal Manley. Yeah.
Good, very good. And in order, and guess what? I'm not surprised that they do, because remember, in order for you to get an international airport status, there are supposed to be some basic quality assurance measures that must be in place in order for you to have that status. All right. Ambulance service, police service, fire brigade service, should in case there is an emergency, because based on our location, you may not have, well, let me not say that, because you could maybe have an aircraft going down to South America coming from up north, and and because of the emergency, they may say that they will have to divert to Jamaica. Now, air traffic control will say, Mayday, we're having a problem and we have to do an emergency landing at the nearest international airport. And international, because international airports come with a basic standard in terms of the runway. These large jets can't just land and then stop. It needs a few yards in order to stop. All right. So there are several things, quality assurance things that we need to put in place. So as I think about it, maybe this is one of the things that we could do in terms of safety for air traffic travel, and maybe with Paz's experience working at both airports, could do a poster with something like this that could educate or patrons and persons who travel, so that we can know exactly what is happening. A photograph of this, for argument's sake, in terms of showing the different layers of the atmosphere and where the commercial flights fly, and how important it is for us to protect the ozone layer, because if the ozone layer is not protected, the heat from the stratosphere, and I'll soon share with you what temperature range we're talking about, can hit the aircraft, and it can, it can cause more harm than good, really, whatever the situation is. So maybe this is something that we can do, either a presentation or a poster, just to show people exactly what is happening. So yes, so they must have some basic things in place to prevent things from happening. So what they would have done is to touch base with air traffic controller, and they say, maybe here the plan, this is the situation, this is what we are experiencing. We have X number of passengers on board. Now, if it's going to land at Normal Manley, for argument's sake, they definitely can't use one something. So they have to now link with Kingston Public Hospital or maybe University Hospital to say, yo, here the plan. We need half dozen ambulances to come here now because we're going to have a situation on board. And we don't know how serious the situation is. And we need to put things in place. Because if you have one ambulance, what you need, you have 10 casualties. You can't put one patient on top of the other patient, right? And of course, you don't want something for an international airport not to have something. Did we have somebody at one of our airports collapsing and maybe dying recently? Something was in the news. Anybody remember?
Yeah, I think it was at Songsters, but I think it was like a year or two ago. Yeah, and what the lady was saying was that it took forever for a nurse to come out there and actually get.
It wasn't a year ago. It wasn't 2 years ago. It was last year.
It was an elder.
It was an elderly person, yes, man.
Yeah.
And the lady that was, because it was all over social media, suggested that it took forever for an ambulance to come.
Yeah,
that
it was
not good. That was not good for Jamaica. And what we could have done right there is to lose our international rating. You see what I'm saying? And we have to, as environmentalists, do what it is that we're supposed to be doing. So if you ask me, sir, where can I work after I finish my degree? Right at the airports. You are going to put things in place. So you will not need to be like in Kingston, we have ambulance service short time. I remember when they just started out, I saw like maybe 1 or 2 ambulances. I drove by there recently, and there are like about a gazillion of them now park up there because I'm saying, wow. So in a situation like this now, the airport may contract out because they may not own more than 1 or 2 ambulances, right? But if in the case of a crisis, an emergency, and air traffic control says this is the situation, the NIA will touch base with their contractors to say, yo, here's the plan. Can you send us 5 ambulances? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have 5. How many do you have? We have 3. Okay, send us 3. And they may call somebody else and say, we need 2 ambulances to come here now. So by the time the aircraft lands, the ambulances are there on the tarmac, waiting, or aside off, waiting for the plane to touch down, and should, in case there are emergencies, get on board and do what they need to do, right? So so these are things that must be in place. So the point I'm making is, outside of all of what is happening, and I really want you guys to think about it. As a matter of fact, it's very important. I really want us, it's just 4 of you, I really want us to participate in the research day coming up. We can either do a presentation, we can do a poster. Paz will have some information based on his experience there. I'm here as a resource person. Ms. Dunbar is also there as a resource person for occupational health and safety. We can look at the chemistry of it to show that we're talking about the stratosphere, the troposphere, that the atmosphere is layered. We can talk about the importance of the ozone layer, and we can say to the participants how important it is for us not to use the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons, and what the chlorofluorocarbons will do to the ozone layer by creating craters in the layer, and explaining to them that the layer is a film that, and literally it is a film that protects these harmful rays. It reflects these harmful rays, right? What is also important to make mention of again is that the ozone layer can be self-repaired. So if it is that we do what it is that we need to do for the environment, we can actually repair the ozone layer. One of the good things out of COVID, is that the atmosphere rested somewhat, because we had this Tanaya Yard campaign going on, and not only in Jamaica, but I know in Los Angeles, for argument's sake, where you have extremely poor air quality. I'm wondering if I can pick up that article. Extremely poor air quality in Los Angeles. Because people were not on the roads, and these cars were not driven, and the exhaust from the motor vehicles that also contribute to as ozone depletants. The atmosphere was able to repair. The air quality for sure improved. The air quality for sure improved. The air quality for sure improved in during that period, and as such can repair the ozone layer. All right, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find, when was COVID again? COVID was 2000.
Probably like what?
2020?
2020? Yeah,
Yeah.
about that.
2020.
I'm trying to find what it is that is showing me there is. I'm looking at some maps, but
But
there was
sir,
an article. Yeah, go ahead, Papa.
yeah, I don't mean to stray from
Go
the
right ahead.
example, the commercial flight, but I've just been thinking about what about the rockets, the astronauts that go straight up to the thermosphere?
So think about it. Do you know the amount of heat that is generated? The amount of heat that is generated for the rocket alone to go up. Because if you look back at the diagram that I'm projecting here, you see where the space station is? In the thermosphere. In the
I see when
thermosphere.
I'm see when like the rocket is taking off and you see the heat and
The heat
the
that is generated, yeah.
I know it can also blow up like right there if like something was to go wrong.
So what it is that we're saying to you is that, so if you look at the troposphere is about 15 kilometers from Earth. From the atmosphere there, the stratosphere there is about 50 kilometers. Some other resources has it as up to 60 kilometers. Right? So the variation of the temperature with height from the Earth's surface. All right? And the mesosphere is up to 85 kilometers. Now the thermosphere is all the way up there. That one is saying, that diagram that I'm saying is 600. So one of the things again you need to recognize is that, so this diagram that I'm giving you says 600. It may very well be, you may see something else that say 500, but the point is well, should be well taken, that the difference between the mesosphere and the thermosphere is significant. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Yes.
If
No?
you can see what, sir?
Sorry, I think I
If you
went
can
out.
see what?
Not that the difference in height from the mesosphere to the thermosphere is significant. It's very significant.
Oh yes, sir. Very.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Very significant.
From the
So,
rest. Yeah.
right. So I'm going to challenge a group, and I mean, I really want you to start. No, and guess what? I can do it as a group presentation again. So it's not going to be something that is wasted. You can get points toward your final grade on this, and I think I'm going to be doing it. You can get points towards the final grade, or you will get points towards the final grade. For this, you need to decide among yourselves. I'm not going to impose upon you. Either going to do a poster presentation, or you're going to present something, and all four of you will present. something, and I can give you percentage towards your final grade on this matter. So yes, Carl, so you will be able to answer your question, what happens to a rocket when it goes up, right? Matter of fact, and it's very important as a scientist that you need to read and read widely. So one of the things that I do is, and I'm not promoting it, but as of late, I used to go on TikTok to watch videos and listen to the newscasts about these science expeditions. And something I saw recently says that there are some people that are trapped up in space that they cannot come back down now.
Yes, sir. I remember hearing about that.
Right. And they're saying that they won't be able to come back down until about May of 2025. No. In as much as how when I went to university, I studied this, I have no desires to see what up there look like. I can tell you for sure I will not die that way. You know why? I ain't going. Right? I will stay right down here so and see what is happening up there.
Sir, they might get Mars already, so
yeah, man,
they
and that's
might get one
fine.
next.
And that's fine, you know. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them.
So you know,
But
I see how it look.
not at all. I have no desires. I don't know if Michael has any such desire to go there. Mikey? He's closer than all of us here doing now. So maybe we can volunteer him to go because he's already halfway there.
All right, no problem.
Sir, I prefer fly through a hurricane. And
Oh.
you know me already with the
absolutely.
meteorology.
No man, give me the hurricane. I will batten down and I will get the food and I will do all that I'm supposed to do. Yeah, man. I'll move all the debris so I don't have any flying objects. Yeah, but I don't think that is going to happen. All right, so let me just tell you give some stuff to you. So the troposphere contains about 90% of the molecules in the atmosphere that extends from the Earth's surface to about 10 to 16 kilometers. This one here is saying 14.5 kilometers. All right. Depending on the latitude. The temperature at the top of the troposphere is about 200 kelvins. Think about it. The temperature at the troposphere is around 200 Kelvin. You know how hot that is? You know how hot that is? So which is why I'm starting off with those commercial flights. You know how hot that is? It says mixing of different chemicals in the region is fast, and this layer contains our familiar weather patterns. The dry atmosphere at the sea level contains about 78% nitrogen, about 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. How much percent that? No, 18, 90, 78, 90, 99, right? Are you hearing me, guys? I think my system is going.
Yes, sir, we're hearing you.
You must respond to me, no, man. So I'm saying 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen are the composition in the atmosphere. So I'm saying 79% plus 21%, that's 99%. So you see nitrogen and oxygen, how important it is. The percentage of which it occupies in the atmosphere. And then now you're going to have things like argon, that is about 0.9%, carbon dioxide, which is about 0.03%, they're saying, and other trace gases. All right. Now, the stratosphere extends from about, this is saying 10 to 16 kilometers up to 60 kilometers, right? So even though this picture that I'm giving you says 50 kilometers, the resource that I'm looking at now, go ahead, please.
No, you're sharing a different slide or picture.
No. I'm just explaining some stuff, right? I'm just explaining some stuff. So what I'm saying to you is, the diagram that is being projected says 50 kilometers. But what I'm saying to you, there is other resources are saying it is up to 60 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Above the Earth's surface. So I'm saying to you, don't be slavish if you see something that says 55 kilometers and say, oh, sorry, gave you the wrong thing. These things are ranges, because guess what? Tell me who can really sit down and measure from Earth up to the stratosphere? Tell me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So you know who would that be?
Karen?
Somebody who want a Nobel Prize.
And guess what? I am not motivated by those things. Because it's like all them storm chasers. I'm proud of them, you know. I'm proud of them so thin.
Sorry, watch that.
I mean,
You don't say that, but they don't do at one point. Like big and
Yeah,
serious,
go
like
chase it, Paz.
no,
Chase your dreams, Paz.
chase tornado and use the drop zone and drop it, fly through the middle of the hurricane, drop it in the eye, and you can at least see where the storm is, the prediction of where the storm is going. I wanted to do that.
and I think you should. I think you should pursue your dreams in my palace. I mean, pursue your dreams. Just make mention of you going to Excelsior Community College and then call me name one time.
Yes.
That's all I know.
Call me name. Call say, tell him the class here did now.
Just one time. Just one time. And guess what? That's all we need, you know. Because all I'm gonna do is just gonna say, I'm the real Mark Shan. We must make it in this life, you know. Yeah, but like you, Paz, when I was studying, I wanted to do aerial photography. So that would have meant for me to be up in these helicopters or other aircrafts that, you know, will look at the topography of areas, especially having gone through a volcanic eruption and so forth and so, because I mean, I was pretty good at identifying things doing that. I mean, it was one of my, when I saw it, I was like, you know, I'm going to create me a job. Of course, it was just a figment of my imagination, because after you finish, you don't say, oh, there are other things out there to be done. But yeah, man, aerial photography is pretty good. You know, you can identify streams, rivers, you know, that pretty much nobody never know about. Just by putting those drones up, or just investigating. So I too had a weird idea, and then somebody one day in class, and I was explaining what it is that I was going to do, somebody said to me, and so who can pay you? And I was like, oh crap, I never thought about that part of it. And because, you know, as a scientist, some people don't believe in what it is that you're doing. So you will have to now go and get sponsorship in order to go there and do stuff. You know, you want to see the composition of the volcanic ash. You're actually going to go there and you're going to scrape up some of the stuff and you know, cool it down and carry it into the lab and test. No, if you have an accident, it means that they will just say, oh, and this person was crazy and is no longer here, right? So it is what it is. But anyhow, so the stratosphere also contains nitrogen and oxygen, but it also contains ozone, O3. Look at the diagram that is projected, and you can agree with me that the stratosphere also contains the O3, which is your ozone. It also contains some water vapor. Right? It says that the chemical species are active because radiation acts upon them, producing chemical changes. Chemical changes are those changes that are not reversible. Once it happens, it just happens. What's the difference between a chemical change and a physical change?
Physical would that be what you're seeing, like what you can.
Continue.
Sorry. So physical would be like you can Oh my God, explain this.
What about, I think, or was it Asia? Hold on, you should know. What was it? I think Asia was, in our presentation, she made reference to lots of salt and water. Was that you, Asia?
Yes, sir.
Right. So a physical change could be adding salt to water to get that aqueous solution of salt water, and then I can separate the salt from the water. So I get it back in its original form, water and salt. And this is not salt water that I'm getting back pure water from it. So that is a physical change because it is reversible. So I do a reaction, I have a new product form, but I can undo it. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
But a chemical change, on the other hand, is not reversible. Once that new product is formed, it can't go back to where it's coming from. It is what it is. That's what happens in the stratosphere. That's what happens in the stratosphere. So it says here now that the radiation principle is responsible for the chemical reactions in the stratosphere is the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. All right. So, and we can know that because that's why the ozone is very important, is very important to us. Now, what is also important is, and you guys will bring it up into your own presentation. As remember, now, I'm just giving you an overview because what it is that I'm talking about now, you are going to be required to do the presentations on these. We talk about the carbon cycle. We need to talk about how important the carbon cycle is in all of what it is that we're talking about here. Because what is also important is that excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is also, and you know, the aqueous carbon dioxide incidentally is then entered into the hydrosphere. Is then entered into the hydrosphere. All right. So there are some questions that I want to ask you, but you know, maybe wait until we have the different class presentations that we can talk more about it. Now, was it this class? Today's what? Today's Tuesday, is not this class. I know Michael and Michael, we were having a conversation in class about this sometime. When you did forestry and wildlife, so you see all of what it is that you studied, which is why environmental studies is a group of areas that will come together to help you to take care of the environment. So I spoke about occupational health and safety. We talk about a little of the chemistry and the environment. Now I'm going to go into forestry and wildlife. Why it is important for us to plant trees? Tell me, is it important to plant trees? If so, tell me why. If not so, tell me why.
All right, so there are several reasons why it's important to plant trees, but one of them would be to help regulate the amount of carbon dioxide that is in the atmosphere. That's one of them. Any other person
What else?
want to comment? There's many more.
Sir, trees are one of the main storage of carbon dioxide and well greenhouse gases in particular. But carbon dioxide or methane, it stores them in the biomass um, reducing the amount that is in the atmosphere.
Somebody just passed a while ago and heard me teaching and said, I know one. And I said, what? I said, name one. And I was told, we are disturbing the habitat of, of many things. Aquatic creatures like the mangroves, true or false?
True.
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 The rat and the you know, one of the things that irks me and I'm upset with myself to this very day. So I have a big tree at the back of the yard, and I had an owl, a white, pretty, beautiful owl that lived in that tree. And to be honest with you, what I'll do sometimes, the owl would just glisten in the dark. And I'll just go outside and just look at the owl, just watch the owl. People say, like, oh, I wouldn't do that. I said, it was a beautiful sight to behold. But guess what? The tree was spreading way too much. And I had to protect, prepare for hurricanes. So you had to cut back and, the whole stuff. And then the tree became hollow and the whole works. And I had to cut the center of the tree so it is that I can get it to grow a particular way. And because I disturbed the habitat of that owl, it migrated. And it migrated to my neighbor's tree across the road. They had a huge naseberry tree. But that property was sold and an apartment is being built. So the owl had to find somewhere else and go. And ever so often at night, I'll hear him. And if I go outside, I see him or her circling. So it is very important to know that when we are removing trees, deforestation, it is that we are disturbing the natural habitat of many creatures. True or false?
True.
Yeah, it's so true, sir.
Mm. Mm. What else? Thanks, Mikey. Thanks, Paz. From Asia, Karel.
You can also disrupt the hydrologic cycle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're not attracting the rainfall, Because what is also happening, remember, our trees serve a particular purpose from removing lots of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. For the whole business of photosynthesis. Talk truth. Now talk to me, no man, guys. When I do the courses, them, So, remember them something?
So in addition to that, trees also, roots of trees also help prevent erosion. So like preventing landslides and loss of fertile soil.
Absolutely. Keeping the soil in place.
And
Protect your home.
not only habitat, but it serves as source of food, help in
Absolutely.
manufacturing and so on.
Mm-hmm. That's the point I wanted to hear. It's a source of food for man. Agricultural products. Mm-hmm. So it is something that we have to, it's all encompassing the importance of photosynthesis. And as I said before, when you look at the carbon cycle, we did a water cycle. We did a water cycle for the hydrosphere. For the atmosphere, you need to look at the water cycle, the carbon cycle. And we need to understand what the carbon cycle is in. Because when you and I respire, we're adding carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. But when we plant more trees, we're removing the excess carbon dioxide in the whole process of photosynthesis, presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce C6H12O6, glucose. So this is why when you and I eat a mango, the mango is sweet. This is why when you and I eat an apple, the apple is sweet because one of the byproducts is my glucose and oxygen that comes off as well. So remember, the oxygen that comes off out of the process of photosynthesis is then sent back into the atmosphere so you and I can breathe. So if we take away all the trees, we're killing ourselves and don't know. Killing ourselves, we don't know. All right. There are some other things that take place. And so carbon dioxide plus water, carbon dioxide plus water, and you have the water from the water vapor up top and from our source, our clouds as well. In the presence of UV light, sunlight, and chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll?
The green pigment.
Mm-hmm. Will produce glucose, C6H12O6, and oxygen gas. One of the things that we can do, as I said today, I went to the country for the vetting, and when I finished one paper and about to start another paper, I went on the outside just to get some fresh air, and it was, and I know Mackie going get off on me, but it was a beautiful sight to behold. You know why? Where I was, it was very vegetated. It is not the hustle and bustle of Kingston where we are just surrounded by block and steel. The air that I breathe today, I can tell you was much cleaner than the air that I breathe generally in Kingston. There was just a difference. There was just a freshness, and somebody came and stood beside me and I said, yo, over there someone live. Right, so we're in between them two houses there, and there's some other ones there. I mean, when I just put on hammock outside, they say, it's like all night now. I just don't know, just get some fresh air. My lungs, them must thank me for that. Because of the vegetation that is around. The green pigments, the chlorophyll, in the sunlight is producing food. So when you and I can buy a nice watermelon, and it's sweet, and say, oh, wow, this is good, natural sugars, it is because of the whole process of making our agricultural foods. So you need to be able to tell me those equations and at what stage these things happen and the production of these other gases. Now, in each sphere, there are some reactions that take place. And I'm only saying that because when you're doing your presentation, you need to let me know the reactions that take place there. Unfortunately, though, I know Asia, I think it was, that spoke about it. I think it was Asia. Talk about things like acid rain. So yes, we looked at the hydrosphere and we spoke about that, but we also need to look at air pollution. We need to look at air pollution. In all of what it is that we're doing, we need to look at air pollution. Now, let me just get something out for you before I move into air pollution as it relates to what happens when we deplete the ozone layer. Let me just pause and say something here, because some people will say, well, I don't eat no meat, I go eat all because a pure color and pop show and cabbage and them something there, that I eat and I stay healthy. Yeah, true. But guess what? If you have those dangerous rays getting into our food stuff, what do you think will happen to you? And that's a question that I want you to answer.
Cancer?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I. Mm-hmm. Real talk. So the ozone plays a very important role to regulate how much heat is released on land. So the thinning of the ozone layer results in more ultraviolet radiation wavelengths below 320 nanometers that will get to the Earth's surface. That will get to the Earth's surface, right? So it says in living tissues, this is absorbed by nucleic acids, which may affect genetic information, leading to increased levels of skin cancer in humans. And I spoke to you about that before. Say all them. Some time ago, pretty recently, I was at a place where it's a tanning shop. And I stood up on the outside and I looked on the inside and I shook my head. And these people are going into some cavities that release radiation.
So you mean the tanning bed them?
Yes, ma'am.
And them lock up themselves in night and have like the goggles over them eye to protect them eye?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I'm not trust that either. I'm afraid that
Me. I won't die that way. Asia, would you do that?
Definitely not, sir.
Because what it is that you're doing, you're releasing more UV rays into your system.
Done block already. No need to get us.
Increasing the possibilities of us getting skin cancers. And more people with lack of melanin are doing it. Why?
yes, sir. I don't understand that either. Them done some of them pretty as can be already, and them I don't know.
I just don't understand it either. So what this is saying is that
Dali have to make, man.
say it again, Mikey.
Dali have to make.
Yeah, but guess what? They're not gonna be used to themselves. No use to themselves at all. So it said fair-skinned people are much likely to develop skin cancers since they do not have the pigments that are present in dark skin to help to screen out ultraviolet rays. It's so important dark-skinned people are.
That melanin.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
melanin man. That's why you have to proud to be black, because it can really help you.
Listen to me. You will never in this life or the next catch me by me bleaching. Bleach what?
So you know have to bleach it, yeah. Just tone up look a bit,
No, sir. No, that around here. You said that a while ago. No, man. Because it is that. Think about it. A man who has been tilling the soil from he is a teenager till him at 80 odd or 90 odd, and in the sun for so long and have not developed skin cancer. And then the moment the man decides, say, yo, say, in order for me to be socially acceptable, I'm gonna tone up. And bam, him destroy the pigments in his skin. And then decide not to go and go into the field. Man, I'm gonna get sick. And maybe this is why young people now are no longer interested in farming. Could be one of the reasons.
Yes, sir. Because them are gonna say them are gonna black up, and some of them are bleach, so say that I go even worse.
So large ozone depletants will increase ultraviolet radiation. So when I have large craters in the atmosphere within the ozone layer, it means then that these ultraviolet rays don't have anything for it to reflect it to the source. It's going to get in. Let me see if I can give you this clearer explanation. Sun visors for your car. When people put up the visors, does the car get hot if you park it in the sun still?
Not as if it would be without it.
Of
Very
course,
good.
it gets up.
It still get hot.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be so hot.
But not as hot as if I
Yeah.
mean, if you didn't use it. If you don't use it,
The steering wheel not get hot, but the car
What
is
time
still
people
hot.
say catch fire? Go ahead, Mikey.
The steering wheel might not hot, but the car is still hot.
Oh, absolutely. And old time people say if you sit up on them something, you're gonna get piled. The car seat, because it is hot.
Yeah, true. They
When you,
always say that's for real.
yeah, man. But when you put on the visors now, it still gets hot. The visor is supposed to now reflect the sunlight or those rays. What color you normally see those visors be?
Sir,
I
like
see it
gray.
like gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gray.
Them change it from silver now because one time the silver usually make the windscreen too hot that it's cracked. So
Mm-hmm.
them start do them in a gray and non-reflective.
Absolutely. Right? Now, what I want you to recognize is that larvae of fish, you talk about the shrimp and crab and zooplanktons and, photoplanktons and all these are affected by the UV radiation. The lizard and the ants and the earthworms and, if we don't have all of these things, the type of soil that we're going to be having is not going to be conducive for plant growth because the soil is going to be waterlogged, talk truth. It's going to be cake up, and not, we're going to have this sort of aeration in the soil that you need so that the roots of the plants can breathe. Can you see the ripple effect of all of that?
Yeah, definitely.
So when you don't take care of the ozone layer, you are only killing yourself and your offsprings that are coming up. So also, what I always want you to remember is the ozone layer is self-repairing. So if you and I can boycott these CFCs, these chlorofluorocarbons, if when you read the instruction, I would say, boy, this household cleaner or this spray, this baygon something or repellent is made from CFCs, and we decide that we're not going to buy it. What is going to happen to the manufacturers? They're going to recognize that the sales gone down. And when they do the market survey and market research, and they say, oh, you're the problem, go real and come again, because This is why the product is not being sold. Just like the plastic bottles. If you and I decide that we're not going to buy any more of the 330 milliliter plastic bottle, or even the 591, and we decide that, you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy the 5 gallon, because at least now the plastic that is used for the 5 gallon is different from that they use for the 330 or the 500 or the 591. So there's going to be no market for that. So guess what? The manufacturers will have to stop manufacturing those.
Yeah, all I'm gonna do is mimic the material that is used to make the 5 gallon and just call it the same, and persons are gonna buy it.
But
So,
even so,
so
okay, continue.
I remember a few years ago when Volkswagen came out and said, hey, we have like the cleanest emission. And when they actually checked a few years after, it was that they used a sensor that did not actually test for the emission. So it's just when a man realized that his product is not being sold on the market. Yeah, he's going to find out why it's not being sold, and then he will do what is necessary to get it as long as it's cost effective. That is
But I want you to agree with me. Or if you disagree with me, let us have a conversation now on it. So what you're saying is, sir, if they're not selling the 330 or the 500 milliliters or the 591, they're going to use the same material to make the 5 gallon. Out of doing the 330, the 500, the 591, or doing the 5 gallon, which is better?
which is better.
Yeah.
Convenience is better, so I would definitely say the 350 if I'm under 500. Convenience is better.
Convenience is better, but convenience is better, but is it helping the environment?
No, it's not, but convenience is always better. So you have to know, make it in a way that I can, if it's a case where you have a 5 gallon and you have the like a reusable bottles that you can use with the 5 gallon, then fine. I have no problem with that. That is also convenient. But so every minute you have to go pump out a bottle in our cup. Yeah. Persons that look for that are serious. A man just wants to just take up a bottle to them head.
All right.
No, it's someone we literally discussed the other day, but kind of shocking. That's why I said, like, today's class is a lot of stuff that we have been discussing. And that is one of the main things. Convenience. Manufacturers not change nothing unless the consumer.
I'm going to challenge you though. I did say we're going to stop at 8:30, but you provoked me. I'm going to challenge you. And I want the rest of you to. So Michael and I will get into a debate now. And I want the rest of you to chime in and tell me who you believe, if you were an investor, who you would invest in or with. So Michael said convenience is good, but I'm here saying that convenience is not the best way, because convenience took us to a place where we started making coffin boxes, styrofoam for lunches because it is disposable and we have to walk up and down and do for something. Convenience caused us to use disposable forks and these same bottles and these plastic bags that are not biodegradable because it's convenience. I don't have to be walking up and down in my car now with these reusable grocery bags. So I just gonna say, send me 2 plastic bags, and then when I finish now, I just set the plastic bag and say, all right, I'm gonna tie up 2 garbage in it, and then I'm gonna throw the garbage, and then now the plastic bag gets thrown out. Huh?
Yeah, remember, the birth of the use of plastic came as a result of environmentalist lobbying that we are cutting down too many trees to make fibers for paper bags, paper plates, paper cups. I don't think Asia them remember this little black and white soup cup where
Oh no, no, oh no, no. I mean, and if but it's not black and white, you know, it's actually brown and white.
brown, yeah.
Right. And then you have to lift up the two little sport where you just handle. Good. So if you've never drank out of one of those, you have to talk to me very nice. Because that's what I used to drink out of.
Yeah,
But the
so
point I make
and
the
that
point
was
go ahead.
yeah, I was saying that those were being manufactured at a alarming rate where you had a lot of trees being removed. And as such, first they realized that hey, if you use the plastic, then you don't have to cut down so many trees. No, it's far cheaper to produce plastic. So investors is going to say, well, if I invest $1 million, you'll be able to sell this amount of volume and I'll get back my million in X time. While if you are supposed to do a plant-based product, I'll have to wait this amount of years for the plants to be available once more for me to be able to make another volume of product to be sold so that I can get back my money. So convenience is an investor is going to look at convenience, how fast he can get back his money. An
And I'm
investor not
saying,
that waiting.
and I hear, you know, but you see, we're talking about money versus what environment says. Because I mean, for me personally, if the man them decide say, yo, guess what? You know, so there's a boycott clearly against the 330 and the 591 and the 500 bottle. But guess what? We are gonna beat them, you know, because I'm talk about me have to go get back my money, you know. So I am gonna now mold it into a 5-gallon. For me, I'll buy the 5-gallon because guess what? The amount of plastic bottle, the 330, you will have to produce in order to fill up a 5-gallon. You are actually reducing the amount of plastic in the environment if you make it in larger containers. What we now need to encourage our populace to do is to walk with water bottles.
The only way that's possible, and the only way I've seen that happening is first, there has to be a policy or a law that prohibits the use of those smaller bottles. If that's in place, then the manufacturers will be forced to
No, but you see,
meet
but
the
you're
guidelines.
missing the point. You're missing the point I'm making because guess what? You just said it, you know, money talks. So if I can say to the policymakers that, yo, here's the plan, don't worry about it. I can give you X amount of money. Money talks, so they are going to get it. But I'm saying to you, the populace can actually speak louder volumes because if I say for example, we have a drive, and every day at Excelsior, we used to sell 5 cases, or okay, say 12 cases of iCool every day, barring none. 12 cases of iCool, 12 cases of water. And if we are doing something to say, here the plan, no, we're going to reduce this because the environmental club is saying we are not going to be doing this, guys, because we are damaging the environment. And the school say, yeah, you know, yes, we're not going to do that. And LASCO recognizes now that, yo, what is happening? We normally send 24 cases, 12 water, 12 assorted juices to Excelsior. No, Excelsior is not buying any, or you're only buying 1 case each. What is happening? No, the distribution is going to dwindle in such a way that they may want to investigate and say, what is happening? Is it that something is wrong with the product? How can we make the product better? We say, because you're using way too much plastic. They say, how can we then service a board here the plan? If you do this in larger containers,
a drink
and
fountain, or a larger container.
And you know, I'm happy you use that term because I went to tell you what happened to me October of last year. Went to a particular hotel in the Heroes Weekend, and believe it or not, almost every guest had their Stanley. And I'm telling you, the amount of guests that went to the drink fountain, Michael, and put them Stanley, and they standing a little bit, you know, and them now move from a drink fountain until them Stanley full and overflow, you know, and them stand up and them sip out some right at the fountain, you know. So when me sit down there now and I wait and I ask the waitress or waiter, them to say, yo, you can't carry a juice for me? Them say, sorry, sir, the juice is finished. May I offer you some water? And then I sit down very vexed and look on the people with them Stanley because them go drink up something. No, I'm not saying it's supposed to, you know, be craving like that. But if we can have a mindset to say that we're not using any disposables in our hotels, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to be carrying or reusable drinking containers. It will save the environment. And guess what? You see, all of them places where we make the styrofoam cups will distribute to the hotels, will feel it. Because a man, Michael, is not going to, if I am making money, and this is where I make my money, I will cut down that tree to make more paper bags because that is my way of living. But I am not thinking forward about what it is doing to the environment. Until there's no more trees for me to cut down, then I'm going to find something else to destroy the environment. So I'm saying to you, if those plastic bottles, it will take, think about it, 5 gallons. 5 gallons. Let me, 5 gallons. 330 milliliters.
Holy
Which is the point I'm making. So Michael, so it comes to the point I'm making. If instead of you doing a 5 liter, no, yeah, a 5 gallon, sorry, a 5 gallon container made from the same material that is used to make the 3 liter. The 330 liter. 1 gallon is about 3,800 milliliters. So I am grabbing for a calculator to calculate something and I'll show you how much plastic bottles we could have saved in the environment. About 3,800 milliliters is in 1 gallon. And I divide that by 330.
close to about 100 bucks.
Which is the point I'm making.
All right, so sir, all right, so my take on it is that I feel like there would have to be a policy. This is just my opinion. I feel like there would have to be a policy because I don't feel as if persons will have, or the majority of persons, they would have the same mindset as environmentalists, where they care enough to boycott these products. And I don't think the majority, I don't think the persons who are interested in boycotting these products would be sufficient to reduce the productivity of what is being sold. So I feel like there would have to be some kind of policy to at least let these products stop being sold. So that's my take on it, sir. I don't feel like persons, the majority, really care that much to say like, oh, we need to preserve the environment. So let's boycott these products. I don't know what say the others.
Policy is always good because we
No.
can always refer to policy, but guess what? Policy don't always work because I'm gonna tell you, scandal bags are banned, true or false?
Yeah,
No, but
true.
people,
Right.
you
I
go
can
down
tell you,
to the
I can
scandal
go
True.
through, right? But Farrell, I can go somewhere right about now, and I can tell you, so I'm gonna buy something. I know what I'm gonna get it in.
One scandal bag
Scandal
ban
bag.
where? You cannot carry it to shop and put your things in it. Not a person that say nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it would have been as much. I don't think they would have been sold or it would have been used as much as if it was not a policy.
All right, sir.
I hear enough, Paz, but guess what, Paz? So I went somewhere the other day, bought some stuff, got it in 2 scandal bags. And then I smiled to myself. And I walked off and I came home and I did what I was supposed to do with my scandal bag. When I go to the market, and if I'm buying 10 pounds of scallion, it can hold in the poly bags, you know the people them do? Give me a scandal bag. You understand? And you have these people who are coming around and say scandal bag, and selling these scandal bags to the vendors in the market. So it simply means that you still have an operation producing these scandal bags. Where is the policy? Where are these people to enforce the policy? Where what it comes down to now is public education. You and I must have a love for the environment in order to take care of it. It has to
Well,
come back down to
all right.
Okay.
What quick question before Michael. So all right, so if that is the case, right, sir? Because remember, you know, policy, usually when you have policy, right, you would usually have
somebody
like
to
you
enforce
would
it.
usually have penalties, right? So if it's a case where persons are still using plastic bags while you have policy, while you have the plastic bag, just for example, being banned, imagine if it was not a policy. And that goes to say, as it proves my point, as to say, like, persons don't care that much, even if it is a policy. So if there's no policy, then just imagine if there wasn't any.
No, I see your point, but all I'm saying to you is that
Yeah.
sometimes these policies are not enforced. It's just policy on a book. You know, at the next class, I'm going to talk to you about what the, you talk about Vision 2030, making Jamaica a place to live, to work,
Live, work, raise family, do
and to do
business,
business. Yeah.
etc.
And yeah. And all of these are built on policies. All right. Now, I can write a policy just to say that I have this policy in place. And the last link I'm going to give you as we speak about policy. So we have a policy about we call it no, geez, what is something name of it's not food stamp, but you know when you go into the school and you can get free lunch, wait name.
Huh?
Pass over.
They have the PATH program. How many people are on PATH that really don't need PATH? And those who really need to get on PATH can't get on PATH. There's a breakdown in the policy. Huh?
That's a politics.
I don't hear that.
That's a politics, man.
Oh, you're thinking that's a policy?
No, man. That's the reason why that's happening is politics.
Oh, you said politics. Okay, politics.
Yeah.
But I'm
That
saying
is
to
like
you,
an MP you are for winning seats, so you
no,
make sure it's a good MP.
and guess what? The other day I went to a primary school to look for one of my past students who is a teacher in a primary school. And the teacher and I, my past student and I, having conversations and say, boy, how is it going now that you have your class? And you know, it's like there was a special bell that rang. And I said, what is that? But I thought they were already on lunch. He said, oh no, that is for the PATH. And the teacher then announced, those students that are on PATH, please to line up and go, them know where to go. And they came back with little like poly bags with items. And then the teacher says to me, I know, so them not eat it. Just stand up and just watch what them going to do with the stuff. And literally, some of the items that they get that are, well, the items are edible, them just take it and use it and just play with it and just take it and just stone each other in the classroom. And I said, are you serious? She said, every day. She said, there are some students who do it, but a good number of students waste the food. And I'm saying, you're right. Somebody now can sit in their chair to say, we've served 1,200 students in Kingston and St. Andrew. But are you really serving 1,200 students? So yes, I'm having this conversation because as environmentalists, we can write policies, but if the policies are not enforced, it's useless to have a policy in the first place. So you're not just going to have policy, but we also have public education. You're going to need field workers to ensure that these policies work, because what the ministry should really have are observers who will just go when these food items are being distributed in schools. These observers should really be there to see what is happening so they can come back and say, boy, I hear the plan. It now work out, Remember this tablet in school project where the government went to the schools and just distribute tablets to students?
Yes, sir. Remember that.
You know what the students use the tablet and do play games and watch movies.
We ain't get none still.
How many of those tablets were used for educational purposes?
Not
None.
one of them.
Because
I
guess
never
what?
want none.
Shortly thereafter, we had COVID, and many of those tablets could have been used in COVID for the teaching and learning of these children. Them couldn't do it. So I'm saying to you, Paz, I agree with you because I'm a firm believer also of having policies. So sometimes I'm in certain spheres and I will say, yo, do we have a policy for this? But I also know that we can't just have a policy to say that we have a policy. When you get into your places of work and you are writing policies for the collection of garbage, don't just have the policy there. You're writing a policy for sanitation to say, yo, every hour you must have your custodian staff go and sanitize bathrooms so that it becomes sterile. Don't just have it on paper. You must go and enforce and to see that, yo, this is being signed. And don't tell me, say, oh, we're going to put up like I see some organizations do, put up a chart on the board, on the door, and the custodian staff will go and sign it. You know what the custodian staff do? Them go and
That's right.
sign it, but them don't
Yeah,
do the
they don't
work.
do nothing. Yeah, we ask the people now what they are last time. That's kind of thing.
Absolutely. You know what? Finally, you know what I heard the mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew said today, and I just shook my head. He said that there were 30 plus people on the payroll for the park downtown, William Grant Park downtown, as workers to ensure that the park is in a good condition. 30 plus workers. Upon their investigation by putting field workers in place, so forth and so on, he recognized that some of these people have other jobs, and all they will do, they will pass by and sign something and go to their other jobs. But at the end of the month, they are collecting a salary to say that they have done the work and nothing was done. And he says that he went in and cleaned it up. And there are now 9 persons who are so employed. And the man said, them 9 people there, keeping the park more sterile than the 30 plus people. What's the point I'm making? If you don't have people to enforce, and it's really sad because there are other parts of the world that don't do that. If you go to Singapore, if you go to Dubai, you don't have to have anybody policing you. You think I can go to Singapore and drive in my car and decide that I want to urinate and go outside, go take up my something and go urinate? Hello? I'll be charged. I can be incarcerated for that. And they say, for that?
You
Yes.
can't go back there. You get mad.
I'm gonna knock me up first. I'm gonna have to serve time there before them deport me. So it is just a mindset pass, which is what I'm saying. So public education is also important. It is a mindset. And this is why civics in schools must come back so the people them recognize some basic tenets of liberty. You have to take care of the environment. You can't just this big person one day said to me, said, Chuck, you know, garbage truck out the door, but it's all right. Go and talk to me on the phone. If them not come back tomorrow, me just go and just go burn the garbage. I said, seriously? And say, yeah, it's common assault. We always burn garbage in our community. It's wrong. A policy won't change the mindset of people. We have to now enforce it. And people who are found guilty of it, we have to charge them. And when them say that we are really meaning business, now them decide, say, yo, we can't do this. But anyhow, I did say I wanted to leave at 8:30, and I'm 42 minutes over the 8:30 time. But it is what it is, you know, duty calls. What I'm going to do, I'm going to send you something, not tonight. I'm going to send you something by tomorrow for you to do for preparations for me for Thursday's class. All right? As per usual, thank you for coming out. And we'll continue this conversation because these are conversations that when you get your essay on the examination, that you must argue is not to regurgitate the information. I don't want no regurgitation on the information. And this is why I encourage us to have conversations. You have to have your points and you argue your point. I may disagree with your point, you know, but it's how you present your point on the exam paper. I can say, okay, fine. Even though I disagree, but he gave his point and this is his belief. You'll get your marks for this stuff. So I don't have to be in agreement with it. Big up on yourself. We'll talk.
Okay, sir.
All right, guys.
Yeah, man.